Okay, so good afternoon. I'm here today with Karlo Pelayo for one of my
Hello.
interviews for sim racing, basically. So I've met him before during the Invitational Rallycross back in 2017. Tama, right, JK?
Yeah, 2017, yeah.
Yeah, 2017. I was an invitational race by the Philippine Rallycross Series. It was the first time at Pradera Verde in Lubao, Pampanga. So without further ado, let's begin. So
All right.
JK, I wanted to ask you, who is Carlo Pelayo? How would you introduce yourself to the viewers that we have?
Okay, I'm Giancarlo Pelayo, currently 30 years of age, and primarily hobbies are involving proper mix of gaming with video games, basically. So, and also racing in real life right now. So, yeah, I wanted to have it like a perfect balance on both of them. And since we're on quarantine right now, so I guess playing racing games in the computer is the next viable option to race.
True, that's very very true. And also, I from what I remember, you participate also in actual races, like namely toge battle, slalom. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Actually, I did. I did a whole slew of races this past 4 years, basically. So
Oh,
I
wow.
started in Autocross, Philippine Autocross Championship Series, and then I proceeded to Toge Battle to get my circuit, experiences. And also, I did try my stint with Philippine Rallycross, which is where I met you, Keanu.
Yes.
And also did a few slalom races as well. And also what else? Gymkhana. I did Gymkhana as well.
Yes.
Almost all, honestly.
I believe this was MSDP, right?
Yeah, MSDP Gymkhana. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did participate there as well.
All right. So moving on. What got you into the world of sim racing? I'm curious. What
Yeah.
drives you to go into sim racing?
Well, basically, I've been doing some racings way earlier during my younger days as a kid. So of course, you're a young kid who wanted to race, but you can't afford to race in real life. So what's the next best thing? Racing in computer games. Honestly, way back, I was in deep with Gran Turismo, of course. Who else hasn't? And also, I did, enjoy a couple of arcade games like Initial D, the racing games like that, Bond on Midnight. And also, what made me uh, turn it to a little bit more serious in terms of playability is that of course you wanted to experience more in terms of your driving, because of course arcade games can only get you so far, because they're
True.
still
That's very
arcade.
very true.
Yeah, so but of course for realism I did try myself to play with R Factor, Assetto Corsa. Right now I'm trying to get back since we can't really do much since
Mm.
we're required to stay home. So I've been trying myself to get back with Dirt and also with Project Cars. Sadly, I don't have Gran Turismo Sport right now since I don't have a PS4. I blew up my money up from real racing. So, in real life racing, I mean, not the game. But of course, I do play the game as well with the
I
mobile
can
phone.
relate, Sobra. I can relate. And also, the viewers would also like to know what racing sim did you started out with? Like, what was your first game ever?
First experience,
Yes,
first
what was
game
your
ever
first
with
experience?
Sim. What was it? I guess the closest thing that I can say with a Sim is Gran Turismo 1.
Ah,
But
yes.
I honestly can't really consider it as a full Sim experience. Of course, it was meant to be played by the majority. So, it's not that, realistic. But when you say when you say that it's going to be my first full real Sim racing experience, I guess it's with R Factor way back in Mid 2000s, I guess.
Oh, nice. Same. So of course from back then, Gran Turismo 1, right? That's purely controller days, no? I think wala pang analog stick yun. I think it was purely directional buttons, right?
Technically, they did support analog and they did provide a wheel. I did have a wheel way back then, but
Oh, you
the
did.
funny thing is that yeah, they did. They did develop a wheel for the PlayStation One. But the funny thing about those wheels is that they don't have a foot pedal included
Oh,
with the set. So you have to control the accelerator and brakes using your fingers. So you just
oh
steer.
wow.
It just give you an illusion of you just steering it. You know.
Hmm. Wow. I did not know there was a wheel already for Gran Turismo 1 back then, but wow.
There was. Honestly, my family was pissed off when we bought it because it was expensive.
Oh no.
So I remember that real well.
Yeah. Right. So also of course also one of the questions of our viewers right now is actually how does
Okay.
one get started in sim racing? That's basically one of the biggest questions I have right now.
Ooh, okay. Well, that is indeed a tough question, honestly
Yeah.
speaking, because honestly, sim racing, the real sim racing games are not really meant for normal consumption basically. So you can actually it's obvious in those car events that has sim racing boots that they offer. I think that's one time it's with they offer it with a rig. The closest thing that people can appreciate is Gran Turismo, as far as I know, and also Forza. So that's the closest thing that people can start with. But the problem is, there are really those kinds of persons. Mostly the majority doesn't really appreciate the. Oh my God, you can turn in really good. You need to brake at least in corners.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Honestly, it's very hard. It's a very hard topic for me to say that how does one get into sim racing basically because of these factors that a lot of people that I know doesn't really care unless they're with the racing community. Even in the racing community, at times they they don't really mind much about sim racing because they're still old school thinking. It's like computers are just for kids, things like that. But but for me, the best advice that I can give with in terms of someone to get into sim racing is that it really depends on them. As just as long as they can devote time and effort to learn the game, not really be good at it, but just give it enough effort and passion just to strive in the game. I did not ask them to be the next John Mardenbro or Michael Schumacher. you know,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I just asked them to just dedicate themselves just to learn. Just not crash.
Yes.
Treat
Yes.
it as if
That's
you're
right.
driving for real. Yeah, there you go.
I see. Yeah. So also so you'd recommend that people get started on a wheel kaagad or they get to know the game first, then go for a setup?
For the controller,
Yeah.
honestly, it really that question is for the budget. That really relies on the person's budget, basically. If the
Yeah.
person has enough budget, they would immediately go to wheel, even though they're not good at it yet. But what I advise is that you really need to start on the wheel immediately, as soon as possible. Don't deprive yourself with a controller unless you really don't have the cash to splurge it on. Because you're just experiencing it halfway, half baked. But I know that there are some pro sim racers, even from what I heard recently, Jacques Villeneuve, uh, is very competitive with the Xbox controller.
Oh
but,
wow.
but those are exceptions, and he reasoned out that he's used to doing that because of course he travels a lot. He just needs to practice on his head with his head, get his head in the game. So of course he just uses the controller just to set his mind right in terms of his races. But for us as an experience, of course, it's you really need a wheel basically.
Yeah.
You save up at least for a driving force GT, like the driving force pro, those like 5,000 below steering wheel. You don't need a shifter yet. That's another advice that I can give.
True.
Don't ever find an H shifter. Don't be those guys that says, "Oh my God, I can't play that sim rig because it doesn't have an H shifter." Promise 90% for sure that person will just crash into a wall real bad. Or worse, I've seen this. Whenever we turn on the damage for the vehicle, they blew up the engine because they shift from fifth gear
Oh
to
no.
first gear. Because
I guess
those
realism hit
those
hard, huh?
those are douche answers. Be contented with with a paddle shifter because you just need the presence of mind there. You don't really need the full and experience of the H shifter unless you really are well versed already and you're able to experience the what car that you're driving with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people even drive Nissan GTRs for some reason they drive it with a stick shift. How does
Wow.
that work? Even the
Talagang
original car
realism
didn't have a
talaga ang
stick
habol,
shift.
no?
Yeah, for some reason, and those are those kinds of people. That's one of my other tips as well. Don't get after the eight shifter. Just be contented with a standard setup. Make sure that the pedals work for you, the steering works for you. There's a paddle shifter that works for you. Usually around 10,000 pesos below, you should be able to get a sufficient rig. And don't go after the seat as well. Just be comfortable. You
True.
can play it in a table or something. You don't go after immediately. Oh my god, the seat and everything. You can, but the problem is, it's not really that required unless you have the budget to spend it
Yeah.
on.
The
You know,
budget talaga is
case in
the
point, don't deprive yourself with a controller, with a DS4 or an Xbox controller unless you don't have the money or you don't have the space. That's
yeah.
it.
All right. Yeah. That actually solves that's actually an answer for one of our viewers. So I believe he's got it. And
All
also
right.
moving on, are you leaning more on esports or racing in actual?
Honestly, well, I know. In my budget right now, I already devoted so much time and money in real life racing. So I can't really just let go of that factor just yet. But e-racing is already in the cards for me. Only problem here right now is that I need to get a stable internet connection for that to
True.
be done. Of course, we need an internet connection. That's the problem these days. Everything is online. It's not
Yeah.
like way back that
With
you
the
just
pandemic,
go
yeah.
to a friend's house or a arcade or somewhere an event that you can participate head to head. But now it's online. Everything is online. Even F1 is doing online races.
Yeah. Actually, also, given if money weren't an issue, if budget weren't an issue,
uh,
where would you lean towards to?
uh,
Which of the two will you be leaning towards to?
well,
Esports
I
or
can get
actual
them
racing?
both if money
Why
is
not
no
both?
matter. Why not both? Because the only
Oh, yeah.
honest hurdle is the money. Both of them, you can get
Nice.
it if
Yes.
you have the money. Why wouldn't you? I've seen people do that. There's persons that do both. That's the best thing. But of course, you need to set your mind straight first with the sim.
True.
Of course, you need to make sure that everything is in check in terms of your ability, your mindset. At least when you get to the real track, all you need to do is just apply what you learn.
True.
Because sim racing right now is very close to real life.
True.
So especially if you have the course in the game, and then you can get to visit it for real. Like 70-80% chances is that you're gonna be hitting it right on the mark on the first few laps immediately. You
True.
just need to adjust the feeling of you crashing. It's much more expensive to crash in real life than in the game.
So, it sounds like you can actually relate like
Eh,
experiences in real
a
life
bit.
to actually sim racing, huh? So, it's one advantage of experiencing both worlds, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, honestly. Of course, right now, kids these days for sure have their own start with sim racing almost immediately because of the games, the ability to just buy right now is so easy. You're not limited by the PlayStation One's limited graphics and and like now it's all realistic already. So for sure, a lot of people today have their own starts with sim racing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's looking really bright because of course everybody from professionals to amateurs to kids to adults to legendary drivers also trying out sim racing right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's growing massively given this pandemic,
Indeed, yeah,
and
yeah.
and everybody is asking like how do they do it? Like how do they even get in there? So
I mean,
yeah,
it's way easy for honestly. Let me share some
sure,
thoughts on
sure,
that. So
sure.
yeah, it's very easy to get in, but the problem is it's how you stay.
Yes,
It's easy
true.
to try it because of course it's games today are very accessible. You don't even need the disc anymore. You just need to download it online.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. But the problem is how you stay. It's how you appreciate the game. Sometimes first 10 minutes you kept on crashing, you would be pissed off and you would just delete the game. So that's it. But some
Yeah.
people tend to practice more. It's like real racing as well. At first, you won't do good on your first tango if saying is right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty true because especially experiences that it takes you on all the way, right? For example, something that you learn from sim racing, you can really apply it to actual racing, doesn't it? Like visualization and the understanding of racing lines. Am I
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, the thought, the breaking points, everything. That's how you steer, how you act basically in the car. So it's all in there for to practice in sim games or in a sim racing game. So I don't see why not uh, people should try. People should definitely attempt, especially now we have time to do so.
I see. I see. Yeah, that's pretty true. Also, moving on. Well, what is your biggest
Hmm.
takeaway from sim racing? Like, what value does it? Like, for example, if you were to describe sim racing to someone who's never experienced it before, how does it add value to that person going for sim racing?
Okay, so let me tell it to you like how I tell it to others. So
Sure.
basically, I would tell it to them that, hey, you want to race without spending too much money?
Mm, yeah.
you, you just go just download Gran Turismo or download Dirt, especially Dirt right now. I think it's for free in the
Yeah.
PlayStation
Actually,
Store, as
Dirt
far as
Rally
I
2 is
know.
free right now on the
Yeah,
PlayStation Store.
see,
Yeah.
I saw a lot of friends of mine, non-racing friends, even trying out Dirt right now, and then they will PM me. It's like, oh my god, JK, this is too hard. I was like, dude, you got it for free, so you just need to get good. So
Yeah.
I don't,
True.
no one's stopping you. No one is, no one. You didn't even pay for the game. You got the full version of the game, and yet you didn't pay for it. So why not, though?
True. Wala naman. Yeah, that's a really good answer. And hopefully to the viewers out there considering, I guess you got you got two life hacks now from JK, and hopefully these life hacks can actually be put to use because for one, it's the experience all that matters. Am I right? It can
Yeah,
take you far. It can
basically,
take you really far, not just from at home, but
indeed.
maybe to events one day. You know?
Yeah, that's a good starting point already to study yourself. Set a proper mindset. And how to race in real life. Sim racing is already a good platform to do so.
True, true, very, very, very true. Also, when we talk about racing per se, right? There is
Hmm.
it's a pretty broad spectrum, right? And I guess we can drum it down to a certain discipline, right? Like each racing has its own certain disciplines, right? Like when it comes to
Yeah,
circuit, drag,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Now
Yeah,
the question
each
is
of them
from
has their own.
now the question is from me and also on behalf of some viewers, what is your racing discipline of choice?
That's a tough question. That's too broad. Do you mean that where's the best place to start, or what's my favorite?
First is your favorite, and second is what you recommend for people to start out with.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Basically, I can knock it down with one answer. So for me, my ever favorite is my first motorsport experience, which is autocross. Because of course, number one, it's super affordable. So right now they're just charging like 1,000, 1,500 per class.
Oh
So you
wow.
get two runs basically. So and that's from the Philippine Autocross Championship Series. So and also the speeds that you go into on that course is it's not that slow anymore. You can
Yeah.
hit easy hundreds, 110s in the course because they offer high speed portions, not layouts, but portions. But of course, you need to overcome tight obstacles like the 180, chicanes, cone chicanes, basically, and also sometimes there's even a 540s. There's really tight obstacles. But the challenge is you really need to find your balance. Just get going gung ho on the course won't get you far. You really need to set a proper mindset, of course, and it's also almost feels like a circuit as well because how fast you're going. So with the added factor that you know you won't have to spend too much just to join because circuit events today are really expensive, averaging right around 5,000 plus just to get there. That's without the costing, the gas, the food, everything. But for autocross, you just need to save up at least 2,000, 3,000, and you can participate in an all-stock car because the courses are not really that wide, that long for any power advantages to show up, basically.
Yeah. So even just a daily, people can actually go in, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, that's what I suggest. Try to join racing events using your daily car because nothing else can you can make it fast. You can make it fast because of course you know how to drive it day to day, day in day out. You know how your car behaves. You know how to you know drive your car basically. Don't aim for a race car.
Yeah.
Aim for your daily car to be drivable on the track.
True.
There, I said it. Yeah, so that's the same thing with sim racing. You don't need to splurge a lot for the equipment. You just need an equipment that works for you. So just make sure that the steering is good. The pedals are good. You don't have to splurge too much on a VR machine, VR headset, or whatever, or complicated seats, racing set, whatever. No, it's drive racing in general, sim or real racing. It boils down to like 70% it's on the driver, 20% is on the equipment, and 10% is you being able to do it.
Yes. It's also one of the reasons why I ask for the different kinds of racing discipline that you would recommend is
Uh,
because racing games right now don't give a specific discipline, right? Like, for example, for Gran Turismo, it's given that you're going to be doing circuit, right? And
yeah,
also, there will
yeah,
be
yeah.
some dirt trials or drift trials. If,
Yeah,
ano ba
yeah,
yun?
yeah. Yeah, their trials. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also the gymkhana during coffee break. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and also for Dirt Rally 1, if I remember correctly, it has rally cross, and hill climb, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And actually, that one hill climb is actually a lesser known discipline, but actually it's pretty amazing actually.
the hill
Those
climb.
Spike Peaks challenges from the past.
Yeah, of course, because
Yeah,
that's honestly where racing started.
true.
That's where you know basically the first forms of racing invented because at the time no one has built circuit for racing, so they do racing in the closed streets. So basically, usually the challenge is that the hill climb is one of the earliest, as far as early 1900s, as far as I know. Even even point races are also a thing. So it's basically like that. Hill climbs are a challenging form of point racing. There you go. Point to point racing.
Yeah, from just point A to point B and then repeat.
Yeah, point A to point B. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like Targa Florio, things like that. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, that really resonates with racing talaga, and also each discipline differs from certain objectives, right? Like
Yeah, they do. They do.
like for Toge Battle, if I'm not mistaken, it's a cat and mouse type of format.
Yeah. They based it on the Japanese, that Japanese race that happens in Gunsai Toge. It's from hot
Yeah,
version, so it's lead and chaser fashion. So you just need to catch up when you're in the rear. You need to get away when you're in your front. But the essence is still the same. All of the racing involves time, and you need to be fast. You need to get the fastest time possible from point A to point B. Point A is the start, point B is the finish. So, regardless if you're going around, regardless of you challenging a short track or a long track, it's just all time. The time is very important.
see, yeah, that's very true. And also, our in case our viewers would like to find out more about you or more about all of this, how can they reach out to you, JK?
Reach out to me. Just PM me on my Facebook page. My personal account is Giancarlo Pelayo, basically. So I don't really have a fan page because I don't think I deserve one because I'm not that
Okay.
famous, I guess. Yeah, I just do what I can. I honestly have some racers who approached me and now are racing on their own, and I'm glad to be a part of their growth. So just PM me. Don't PM me on money concerns. I don't have money as well, so I'm always broke. So
Relate.
don't ask me for money, promise. Nah, just kidding. Anyway, yeah, you can
Yeah,
just
because
really approach me.
one of the reasons why I'm also hosting these interviews is hopefully we can boost participation among in sim
In
racing in the
Sims.
country, and
Oh
hopefully that
yeah, yeah.
I can also help bring us Filipinos worldwide. Like I
Oh
heard
come
that
on, yeah.
maybe one day we can collaborate with Tuason Racing, because apparently the challenges that they're doing is that the winner gets to go to the FIA games. And
Yeah, because
uh,
yeah.
and as per my research,
Uh-huh.
we can only count with our fingers how many countries from Asia are actually participating. And it'll be
There's
big
a
for
lot,
us if we were
honestly.
to bring our name there, right?
Well, the thing about it here is that, we have the potential already in terms of sim racing. The only thing is that we just need to raise more awareness. But
Yes.
the potential is there. There are some people in our country already good, already competing abroad. Some people, and also they also compete through online competitions. They even go to head to heads. It's like racing in real life here in the Philippines. The only thing that's hindering this growth really is budget. So if the government at least realizes this potential sport, I hope that they support it. Just like what they support with basketball, volleyball, billiards, even Dota, Tekken right now are getting
Actually, yes.
government's attention. Yeah, so right now it's a big thing. So I sure hope sim racing with Gran Turismo, especially with the FIA games, is concerned. I sure hope that they see the future in those endeavors, and then so at least we can get a chance to participate in
Yeah,
those kinds of events.
that's true. That's very true. Because
Mm-hmm.
the mere fact that the volume per esports game right now, like
Mm-hmm.
think of your typical game that's in esports right now. One of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
why it's big is actually the volume of players, right? And they're aware
Yeah.
from the challenges, from the rewards, and from team
Mm-hmm.
invites. So hopefully one day sim racing can be as big as that. And
Yeah, yeah, I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope so too.
like those other games, they're all up there, and our sim racing journey has barely begun. So
Yeah, yeah. Sure
yeah,
hope that
very
this will
excited
grow, grow. Yeah, indeed.
grow along with all of
Grow.
us together. Yeah,
Yeah, indeed.
yeah. Also, to conclude, what are your last words on racing simulation in a nutshell?
Racing simulation in a nutshell is,
Yes.
as I said a while ago, you can get the race without much spending too much, if anything. So if that's your cup of tea, or you really are short on a budget, just just try to devote time. I didn't say be good at it, just devote time at least to learn the game. So if that's the case, for sure you should be able to manage racing for real if you're able to get your cards right in sim racing. You know,
All right. Yeah. So, JK, thank you very much for this. I know your time is
Uy.
very valuable to you, and hopefully, given given this interview, hopefully we can raise more awareness and make sim racing big
Yes,
in the
indeed.
country, and hopefully many will join our cause. So, thank you very much.
Indeed, yeah, yeah. Sure hope so. Yeah, thank you too, Keanu, for this opportunity.